Hey everybody, this is Leslie and you're watching Midlife and Nailing It. If you could please hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up, I would appreciate it so much. It really does help my channel. Today I'm super excited because I'm participating in the Thanksgiving Family Favorite Collab, and it's hosted by Southern Wife Everyday Life. She's been one of my very favorite ladies to watch on here since she had about, 200 subscribers or so. So I'm going to go ahead and put a link to her channel in my description box below, as well as a link to the playlist. I can't wait to see what everyone's come up with. Let's go ahead and get started. So today I'm going to show you how to make some homemade egg noodles. They are so super simple. And I know a lot of people have them at Thanksgiving. I don't know that we've made them every Thanksgiving, but I have made them in the past for Thanksgiving. All it is flour, salt, a couple of eggs, and then some chicken broth, and it is so delicious. It's kind of the same consistency of like a dumpling almost. If you've never had it, it's so super good. And what's cool about it, it's awesome to have as a leftover because you can throw your leftover turkey in here the next day, and you could use your frying pan and kind of cook up some onion, carrot, and celery chopped up and throw it into the pot as well the next day. Or you could just make these egg noodles the next day, and when you're throwing them into your boiling chicken broth, or you could get turkey broth, you could throw in your vegetables and your turkey then. So there's a couple of options with the egg noodle that makes it super versatile for Thanksgiving. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to add 2 eggs, and you can of course double this if you'd like, or triple it depending on how many people you have coming to Thanksgiving. You can see I'm using 2 eggs here, and I'll show you how much that makes, and you can kind of gauge it from there. And so I'm also adding a half a teaspoon of salt. And then all I'm going to do is just whisk this up, you guys. And so now I'm just adding in 1 cup of flour. I'm going to add in just probably 1/3 of that cup at a time. And at first I'll whisk it in, and then I might have to switch over to a spoon. Okay, so I'm just dumping in the last of my flour. Hold on.
I'm going to apply some BioFreeze to my shoulder.
You can put your arm down when I'm not there. What? You guys. I don't understand why he didn't put his hand down if it was tired in between.
I gotta make the shot.
What?
I don't give up.
Apparently he's in it to win it, you guys.
I'm part of the crew.
And I might... He's like not, he didn't put his hand down this whole time. And of course it's not as funny to you because we're gonna edit out like all the extra time, you know? So they don't know exactly the real time of it. But that's funny, baby. You don't have to hold your hand up here if I'm not doing it. And then finally, guys, you gotta get in here with your hands. Really. So I'm gonna do that. Okay guys, so there is my dough. It's really that simple. It's a little bit sticky right now, so what I'm going to do is clean my hands up, and then I'm going to cut this in half, and then I'll show you how we roll it out and get it ready to throw into the pot.
Let's get a close shot of it too.
Get a close shot, babe.
Because when you held it up,
the dough.
there's too many shadows.
Oh, there was shadows in the shot?
When you held it up.
My bad. So what you want to do is the surface that you decide to use, you want to use a lot of flour. And then you also want to put some flour on your rolling pin. And then I did split my dough in half, so this is half of the dough that I made. And I want to make sure I put a bunch of flour on my dough, and I may have to add flour as I go. If it sticks, you know you need a little bit more flour. You want your dough to be super thin, guys, because egg noodles, when they cook, really plump up. So don't make it look like what you think an egg noodle looks like when you're eating it. It really needs to be much, much thinner than that. Some people that are like super into baking and all that jazz and are a whiz at the rolling pin are probably yelling at me right now, but a professional roller of the pin I am not. Just so you all know. Full disclosure. I'm like one of those ladies that, you know, buys the pie crust. Marie Callender, I highly recommend. Splurge on it for Thanksgiving.
You can't tell them now. We won't be able to find one.
Oh, I know. Oh, and by the way, I already put them in my next click list because
That hasn't stopped them before.
they will be gone. You
They
have
will
to buy.
substitute us for Pillsbury
They might.
in the blink of an eye.
Right. Yeah. So you want to keep rolling, 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 rolling. Real thin, guys, real thin. Okay, guys, so I rolled that out really thin, like paper thin, and I'm gonna go ahead and grab my pizza cutter. Oh, am I on this? Actually, what I'm gonna do, because this is a new table and I gave zero thought to this part, I'm gonna go ahead and transfer this onto a cutting board, and then I'm going to use my pizza cutter, because obviously I'm not gonna use a pizza cutter on a table. Didn't think about that before, but we are rolling with the rolling pin and the dough and everything, and that's what's gonna happen. Okay, guys, so I went ahead and floured a plastic plate because I want to make sure things don't stick. And then the noodles that I cut, I'm gonna set on this plate. You want to make sure that your dough that you spread out is generously floured on the bottom and the top. I'll show you with the next batch as well. I kind of flipped it and kept rolling it, flipped it a couple times. I've got this paper thin, and I'm not real fancy with my noodles. Like, they're not in a perfect rectangle. I just don't roll that way with this stuff, guys. If you want to, you do you. So I'm just coming through and I'm cutting noodles. And don't be hard on yourself here. Like, look at how lopsided that one is I just did. Who cares? Yeah, my lines aren't perfect. Who cares? And we're going to cut them smaller anyway. Or you can leave them long. You can do whatever you want to do. That one's really messed up.
This noodle's an individual.
Absolutely. They're all noodles. So I'm just going to cut them in like a couple inch length. You can do whatever size noodle you want. I'm doing this. And that's it, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of take my noodles apart and lay them on my plate. And if they're dry, don't worry about it. That's how they're supposed to be. So I just threw down a bunch of flour, and I got the other half of my dough. And I'm going to coat that with flour and go ahead and roll that one out. I've got this all rolled out, so I've got my handy dandy pizza cutter here. Okay, so this set of noodles is done, and I'm going to go ahead and add it over here. There's a lot of flour involved, so they shouldn't stick. If anything you have going on and this step is sticking, you didn't use enough flour. So be very generous with the flour. Okay, guys, so I am just warming up my pot here. The noodles over here are super dry, and it's fine that they're drying out a little bit. You actually want that to happen. So you have time to bring your broth to a boil. So I'm just using, I don't know if you guys have a Dollar General by you, but I just picked this up this morning because I didn't have any chicken broth on hand at Dollar General. I've got 32 ounces here, which is 4 cups. And for the 2 eggs, 1 cup flour ratio, you want about 32 ounces of broth. And you could do this with any broth. If you wanted to make it a different time that wasn't Thanksgiving, it would be really good with leftover roast added in and using beef broth instead. There's lots you can do with knowing how to make these egg noodles. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pour this into my pot. And then I'm gonna go ahead and salt my broth. And I'm gonna add some pepper. I forgot to tell you that I was gonna do that in the beginning, but of course you can use any seasonings that you'd like. So we've come to a bit of a boil. It's not a full boil, but I don't care. I'm gonna go ahead and put my noodles in. I'm gonna do it one at a time. It's kind of like if you've ever made dumplings, I suppose, like more of a southern type thing, and I'm just throwing these in like one at a time so that they don't stick together. You can already see them plumping up. They do plump up quite a great deal, so I know it looks like I made them very small, but I really didn't because of how big they get. And the really cool thing about this recipe, you guys, it is so inexpensive to make. It's very filling. It tastes very fall and savory, and it totally goes with any Thanksgiving dinner. I know a lot of people make these every Thanksgiving. So I'm just coming in and making sure everything's coated with the broth, and they are already plumping up. They already smell delicious. You're gonna want to cook these on a medium high, around there, for about, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. So I'm gonna go ahead and set a timer for 20 minutes so I don't get distracted from this dish, and I will show you what it looks like when it's finished. So as your noodles are cooking up, you do want to keep kind of reducing your heat. So if it looks like it's super boiling, just turn it down a little bit at a time. And then you do want to kind of lightly stir it, and I mean lightly, periodically, through the cooking process. So see how they're plumping up and getting all that flavor in there. Oh my goodness, is it gonna be good. Okay guys, so this is completely done, and you know, if you wanted this to be soupier, what you would add is more broth, or you'd add water to it. I want it to be more noodly, and it kind of makes with the broth like a gravy almost. So that's why this is really good if you ever do noodles and put your leftover roast in. Oh, it's really good. But so I'm gonna go ahead and dish this up. My daughter's gonna be so very excited. This is like one of her all-time favorite things on earth, always has been. So this is what the noodles look like plated up. They are so very good. And remember, if you make enough of these, you can throw your turkey in it the next day. If you wanted to fry up some carrots, onion, celery, throw in it. Oh, would that be a really good thing to make with the leftovers? So very good. Or you could just make a fresh batch of noodles the following day. If you wanted it to be more like a soup, you would add more broth. Really versatile thing to know how to do, guys. So this goes perfect with any Thanksgiving dinner or the day after Thanksgiving dinner. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.